So in this section, I will be starting with the fifth module topics, that is process, task and thread. So to start with, first of all, we have to see the concept one by one. Now let me explain the basic difference between the three. That is, you assume a real life example. For example, if you are having a books in the library, so all these books are a passive entity. Now, once a student takes a book from the library and start reading it, it becomes a reading process. Now, if the same book, okay, so it becomes a process only when this actual operation is taking place. Now, if in the same book, another page is being read by a student. Okay, so multiple controls are being enabled on that particular process, and we can say that there will be threads. So threads are subpart of the process. So threads are nothing but some control of executions which is given to the process. So a single process itself contains multiple threads, and these threads, between the threads there will be conflict for the resources such as registers, memory, etc. And task is again another name for the process. So we can say the task is nothing but next another name if for a procedure to take place. So in a single process itself, if a process is taking place, many tasks will be there to be completed. Okay, so tasks are made up of several action or steps. So process is just an upper level of description of a series of major steps required to accomplish an objective, and a task is just another way or a subway of describing a particular process. Now coming to the case of embedded system. Embedded system, we know that it is a combination of hardware and software, that is the required amount of hardware and some application specific software. It will be application oriented. Now software, when we are speaking of software, which is a collection of program which is going to manage the several hardware component of the embedded system, and this hardware program which will be loaded into the memory, it is going to be passive in nature until executed. Okay, so the once the program is loaded into the memory, then the operating system has to allocate the resources and then start running the program. Once the program starts execution, it becomes a process. So program here is a passive entity, and once the program starts running, it is a process. Okay, so now we'll proceed to what is a process. So process is an instance of a program which is being executed, as I explained. So it will contain what the program code and the current activity, and depending upon the operating system, a process may be made up of multiple threads of execution that execute instructions concurrently, and a different process do not share resources such as memory. So a single process itself, there will be what? Multiple threads of execution. So how can you define a process? A process is nothing but a program in execution, that is a program plus states of all the threads in execution of a program. And there can be conflicts between the threads for resources such as register, memory, etc. Then comes the need of scheduling these threads. So there should be a scheduler which we will deal later. Now these are the basic differences. As I told, program is a passive part, and once it starts execution, the active part is the process. During the execution, the process gives a result, but program itself does not give any result. And process is stored in memory, program is stored in disk, and process is one which compete for the resources, but program does not compete. So these are the basic differences between process and program. We know what is the basic difference between what is a process and program. Okay. Now the structure. The process is going to work in a multi-programming environment. So it consists of all these resources like the working register, stack, program counter, which contains a code memory corresponding to the process. So concurrent execution of tasks take place in a process. In a process itself, multiple tasks has to be performed by means of sharing the CPU. And this is the memory organization of the process. That is, you can see the stack memory, data memory, and code memory. So in code memory, we have the actual program code, and data memory, the actual data. Stack memory stores all the temporary data, and this is just the orientation of the stack memory and the data memory. So a process consists of executable code, state of which is controlled by OS, and the process can be described by or it is represented by three different things. That is, the complete information of the process is given by a process control block. So we will see in detail what is process control block. Then the structure of the process, that is what are its data, resources, objects, and next comes the state of the process, that is in what state the process is currently, whether it is in created state, running state, blocked or finished state. So that is describing the process life cycle. So this is a state transition diagram, that is also called as a process life cycle. So it can be in any of these states. That is, first case it will be new or created state. The process is just being created. Then once it is in the created state, it is just being created, it has to go from the new state to the ready state. Okay, this is not in order. So once it is in new state, it has to go to the ready state. So in ready state, it is waiting to be assigned to a processor. Then after the ready state, it is being in the running state or in the execution stage. That is, actually instructions are being executed in this part. Then it has to go to the waiting state, or waiting state can also be called as the blocked state. Momentarily it is being blocked. The process is waiting for some event to occur, such as input output completion or reception of a signal, etc. Then finally it goes to the terminated or exit state, that is the process has finished the execution. So these are the 5 states of the process. So new state, the process has been created but it hasn't yet got admission to the ready queue of the executable process. Then once it has been ready, that is it is being allocated the resources by the CPU, then only it can go to the running state. Okay, and in the running state, the process that is currently being executed by using the CPU. So only if the CPU is ready, remember this point, if the CPU is ready for execution, it will be transferred from the ready state to the running state. That is, our resources, all the like the input, output, etc. have to be allocated to the process, and the CPU has to be ready for execution. Then it will be transferred from the ready state to the running state. Then in the blocked or waiting state, the process momentarily it is being blocked. It cannot execute until a specified event such as an input output completion occurs. That is, if an input output event occurs or if an interrupt occurs, the process go to a blocked state. And in the exit state, the process has terminated because its execution is complete or because an error has occurred. So let us now see the diagram or the state transition or the process life cycle. So these two diagrams, they are the two diagrams from two textbooks, but basically the meaning is same. So first let us look at this ready state. So first and foremost, it is in the ready state. And then what happens? So once if a process is being created or it is in the new state, the process creation is in new state, and if the state is being admitted. Okay, so prior to the running state, we have got the ready state. That is, successfully we have the dispatching of all the resources. Then once the CPU is ready, it will go to the running state, and from the running state it can go to either of these conditions. That is, if it is working normally, if the process is running normally, once the process has finished its execution, it will go to the exit state. Now if an input output event wait occurs, or if an input output device has been retrieved from the process, or it has to be introduced, if some event wait occurs, then momentarily it will be blocked for some amount of time, and then it has to go back to the ready state, and then only it will be going to the running state. Okay, so only after again the rescheduling by the CPU, the process again will be going here. And in case if a interrupt is going to occur, that is if a preemption, so that is why preempt is written here. So if a preemption or interrupt has occurred, it will again go from the running state directly to the ready state. Okay, so these are the events, 3 events which can occur from the running state. Either it can work in the normal way, that is finish its execution and go to the exit mode, or if an input output event wait occurs, it goes to block mode, or we can say if a preemption occurs, it go back from the running to the ready state. So the same diagram is again explained here. As you can see, new state is admitted, it is going to the ready state, And then after the ready state, what will happen? That is initially the new state, that is where all the resources are being available, only it will be transferred to the ready state. Now once all the resources they are available to the ready state, when the CPU is ready for execution, it will be going from the ready state to which state? It will go from ready state to the running state. Okay, and in the normal way of execution, it will be having the exit or the terminated state. Now, if some interrupt or a preemption process is going to occur, then it will be transferred from the running state to the ready state, as shown in the figure, from the running state to the ready state. And then only after again it has to reschedule by the CPU, then the process which is in the ready state will be transferred to that of the running state. And during the execution, if some input output operation is required, the process has to wait till that input output event occurs, then only the process will be then continuing. So until that you can see that it is going to be blocked, or it is going to be in the waiting state. Then it has to again proceed. Okay, it has to again go back to the ready event. So these are the three conditions. So if a preemption occurs, it goes back from the running to ready. Again, there has to be a rescheduling. And if input output wait even, it will go back from the running to the blocked state, and then it has to go to the ready state, or in the normal way, the exit state occurs. So this is the explanation of the diagram of a process life cycle. So the same points, you can go through all these points. The same points which I have explained here, it is written in words. So these are three things which it has to occur. If an interrupt occurs, or if an input output event occurs, or the normal execution case. So you can go through these possibilities for transition. Now coming to what is the concept of a process control block. That is the information about each and every process in a computer. It will be stored in the process control block. So the process control block, as you can see in the figure, there will be several information about the process control block. Okay, so several information, as you can see in the figure: process ID, process state, process priority. So all these accounting information, CPU register, all these information, complete information about the process will be there in the process control block. And here you can see in each of these processes, okay, there will be a particular process control block for each of these processes. That is what is shown here. So information about each and every process in a computer is stored in the process control block. A data structure, so we can say that process control block is basically a data structure which have the information using which the operating system controls the state of the process, and it stores in protected memory area of the kernel. Kernel is the heart or the core of the operating system, the inner core or the most important part of the operating system. So it consists also about the information of the state of the process. That is, we have seen in the previous slides what was the different states of this process. So about all these information, what is its current state, all those information will be present in the case of process control block. So the information about the process state at the process control block, it can be the process ID will be there, priority number may be there, parent process if any, or child process, address to next process control block which will run, allocated memory address blocks, then allocated process heap, that is the data generated during the program run address, allocated process stack address for the function called during running of the process, then allocated address of the CPU register, then the signal mask, that is the collection of the signals which are currently blocked, that is called as signal mask. So we will see more about this concept of the signal in inter-process communication of the process. Then operating system allocated resources descriptors, that is what are the resources allocated by operating system, then security restriction and permission, etc. So all these are some of the information which will be present in the process control block. So completely with the help of all these things, it is going to completely describe about a process. And For each and every process, there will be a separate PCB. And now we will see about the application of the process, that is in consider the case of a mobile phone device. Now in the case of mobile phone device, it is very much a user friendly device, but the software, embedded software which is present in the mobile phone is highly complex. It has to perform a number of function, interrupt service routine, thread, multiple physical and virtual device drivers processed on a single processor. So these are some of the example of the processes which is going on at the phone device. So simultaneously it has to perform all these processes which is going to make it very much user friendly. So it has to perform some display process, key input process, graphical user interfaces, at the same time voice encoding, decoding, modulating, etc. So understand that this is just an example of the several types of process simultaneously which is taking place in a mobile phone device. So it is very much a user-friendly device, but the software is highly complex, which has to perform a large number of processes. So for each of these processes, there will be separate process control blocks. Now next thing is about the task and the thread. So these are the main important concepts regarding the process. We will continue about the next about the task and the threads in the next section. So the main things you have to understand about is basically the concept of a process. That is, process is basically a program in execution. So once the program is treated as passive, once it starts running or once it's executing only, we can call it as a process. And most importantly, we have seen about the process life cycle. So how the transition diagram of a process can occur, that is in the normal state, and in the case if a preemption occurs or if an input output event occurs, that is it enters a block state. And we have seen what is a process control block. So these are the things which are mainly discussed in this particular section, and next section we will see about the concept of task and threads, and also we can see what is the difference between the process and the task.